Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this important conversation about what's happening in the city of Stockbridge. I'm attorney Gerald Griggs. I have the distinct pleasure of joining attorney Robert Kenner and representing Mayor Jayden Williams. I will now turn it over to attorney Kenner to kick us off.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the first opportunity for the mayor to kind of give his side of the story. There have been many allegations put out by the certain members of the council, while they have indicated that this is just preliminary and that they're still doing an investigation. The way that they have pushed out the case or that they're trying to make or the facts that they're trying to assert has been slanted. um, we all know the truth. The mayor knows the truth, and today uh, we're going to present the truth and the facts to the public. The public would have an opportunity to ask certain questions. We're going to try to give the public as much time, but we're not going to be able to go over an hour because there are other things and matters that we have to take care of. One of the things I would like to do is say I am honored to have the opportunity to represent the mayor. I believe wholeheartedly in him as a mayor and as an individual. And so we can get to the nuts and the bolts of everything. Mayor, how you doing?
Hey, Attorney Kenner, Attorney Griggs. I'm good. Thank y'all for having me so we can have this important conversation.
One of the things though that I like to start off with a little bit about your background. I don't know if a lot of people know about your background. All the news media and everyone are commenting about how old you are, the fact that you're 22 years old and one of the youngest mayor in the history of the city of Stockbridge. I would go further to say perhaps the youngest in the state of Georgia, maybe the youngest in the nation. Now I haven't done the fact check on that, but that would just be my assertion. But you're 22 years old, and can you tell us a little bit how you got involved into politics and wanting to have the desire to be a mayor of a city like Stockbridge?
Yeah, I would say I had the pleasure of serving. I've had the pleasure of serving in politics and civic engagement since the age of 13. But I started in politics my sophomore year in high school when I joined the Stockbridge Youth Council along with Councilwoman Neat Robinson and her leadership. I did that throughout all of my time in high school while also interning in almost every single department within the city. I've only missed one internship opportunity, and that was because when I went to college at Clark Atlanta University, I ended up being appointed to the City of Stockbridge Planning Commission and ultimately becoming the chair of the Planning Commission before stepping down to run for mayor. So I've always had a passion to serve my community. I've always had a passion to making sure that our communities are represented in a fair and in the best way possible. And that's really what drags me and drives me to be in politics, the opportunity to serve and lead with everybody.
So what was your major in college?
Political science.
Okay. Did you know in college that you had aspirations of getting into politics and particularly becoming a mayor of a city?
I definitely did not. I actually had no intentions to run while I was in college, but I began my campaign senior year because I saw Stockbridge had a dire need, and once I graduated, I had no intentions to stay in Atlanta. I wanted to come home, and I wanted to give back to the city that poured so much into me at a young age.
So when did you decide? At what point did you say, you know what? I think I'm gonna try this. I think I'm gonna launch a campaign. And can you tell us a little bit about all the what went into that?
Yeah, I was in my senior year inside of my Matt Henry Jones political science class with some of my colleagues, a class of probably 22 students. I would say for a fact, came home to go to a council meeting just to hear what they had to say, just to listen to some of the discussion. And it was so much arguing back and forth between council members. And I would even say some of my predecessor was up there asleep. And that's not me accusing him of anything, but that is a written fact. We have pictures of him documented sleep on the dais while the people are expecting the work of the city of Stockbridge to be done. So that was really my opportunity to say, wow, should I run for council? Should I run for mayor? And ultimately, the decision to run for mayor.
And so that led you to run for mayor. So tell us a little bit about how you were able to galvanize individuals to assist in this process. And I don't know if you come from a lot of money, but I know that when you make the choice to run for any type of office, it takes a lot of money. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it definitely does. In a city that Stockbridge size, it's probably about a $50,000 campaign. We went all the way grassroots. We probably raised over the entire campaign maybe $8,000 to $12,000, and that was not on hand from the beginning. That was just what we collected throughout the year and a half I was campaigning. But what I did was I collected young people from the AUC. So I had people helping me from Georgia State, from some people that used to work with me when I served in the NAACP's capacity, some people that were in Morehouse, Spelman, Clark, and I literally curated a group of young people that were like, "Hey, we know politics. We can run a campaign or two. Let's see if we can put what we know to the test." And that's exactly what we did.
How many people did you have working with you, and what type of background did they have, and how were they able to help?
I think I had maybe, oh Lord. In general, I can tell you I had a team of about 10 to 20 that was between volunteers, field organizers, but my direct team, it was a strong five of us. And that goes from field organizing, that's cutting turf, making sure we're galvanizing the message, whether it's text banking, phone banking. I had a social media person who always kept us up to date on what was happening, what we could do, events we could host. I had a logistics coordinator that helped us with events, and then I had the person who was always boots on the ground with me, whether it was going to an event, whether it was knocking on doors and just getting around the community and getting the word out. We understood that social media is also a powerful tool, but when you talk to people directly, it's most impactful.
Now, a lot of people want to understand um, when you first got into office, and what were the dynamics? Where this was this a welcoming experience, or were there a lot of vitriol and dissension when you got in?
I would say it was a very interesting experience. I've been in multiple rooms where I have always been the youngest person. I've been in opportunities where I've always been the young person or the one they counted out. But once I spoke, they're like, "Dang, okay, this is somebody we might have to listen to. This is somebody that could represent the next generation." But I would tell you, it was very interesting coming into Stockbridge because now I'm going from the outside looking in to the inside looking on the inside. And so it was just a lot of interesting facts and portrayal because as the mayor, while the charter says I am the chief executive officer, I'm really also just a chief executive spokesperson of the city. I am the celebratory, congratulatory, ceremonial format of local government, and that's a council manager system. So for me, I was trying to figure out ways to navigate myself because it really did not seem like I had guidance. I really just had adults trying to tell me what to do, but not willing to work with me, not willing to be like, "Hey, let me walk you through this." I had to kind of sit down and say, "Well, how can I do this? How can I lay this out? What exactly can I do in this capacity?" And so the charter ended up becoming literally on my desk. It's the charter and the Bible. That's how much I started to read the charter so that I could understand what my role was, what I could and could not do, and how I can operate as mayor.
So, what type of initiatives did you have when you decided to run for mayor? Things that you may have seen just as a regular citizen of Stockbridge that you wanted to change.
Um, I saw a lot of change, but my goal was for me, I wanted to show the people that this was still the people's house. This was still the people's government, and we as elected officials represent them. So for me, I wanted them to get that exposure and say, "Hey, I can call my mayor. I know I can call him Jayden if I want to. My mayor is that close to me. He's been to my family's business. He still talks to me as if I'm a neighbor, and that was what I wanted to showcase. So I brought back initiatives like, well, of course, you probably don't. In the city, I guess it's normal practice that if someone leaves the council or is outvoted or something like that, the standing council can kind of take on their initiatives and keep the baton going. My predecessor had a few that I kind of discontinued, but also a few that some council members said, "Hey, I'll keep the train going. It's something I've always been interested in." And so while they took those, I had to find different things. So I kicked off my small business spotlights on Saturdays, going to businesses that you probably wouldn't even think are in the city of Stockbridge, but are. Um, it was things like my mayor for a day where we literally have juniors and seniors in high school come to the city. They speak to me, and they meet me and I give them a tour of the city, but 90% of the day they're with my staff and the city staff learning about a different department, learning how the city operates. And then we come back for a ceremonial portion just for me to congratulate them and show them, hey, this is civic engagement and this is how your city operates. And then another thing we're doing is, of course, is kind of paused now, but the biggest thing for me this first half of the year was my estate planning class, because it was important for me to say, while I'm young and I'm interested in doing things in the city, and buying real estate and buying property, let's show the legacy residents of the city how we as a city will support them in gaining and learning resources about their wills, their trusts, and their estates, and how they can build that folio. And even in the program we were doing, from the office of the mayor and the organization that partnered with us, we were paying for their wills and estates. That was the big surprise. And so I hate that we're here in this moment now where we're not able to afford that opportunity to residents that probably was really looking forward to it.
Now, when you first got elected and after your inauguration, I'm a resident of Stockbridge. And so there were a lot of things that I heard about the city council, the infighting, things of that nature, the accusations that were hurled against each other. And even as a citizen, I understood that you had a uphill battle. And I understand that there were those in the council specifically have made comments that they didn't want you there and that you weren't going to be there long. Can you tell us about those type of comments that you may have heard and that can be verified by other people?
Those comments have been said since I was elected. It was just a simple fact. It was young person coming in, whether they liked me or not. They didn't want me in that position. They wanted the same guard or the old guard to lead the way and continue doing what they were doing, whatever they were doing, because we as citizens did not see what they were doing. So we kind of had to shift the narrative, and I took what they said as a grain of salt. My motto at Clark is find a way, make one, and culture for service. I literally had to learn and take some of the lessons I took at Clark. Like, hey, you can say what you want, but we're here to serve people and we're here to work. So that's what we're gonna do.
Did you get any type of mayor training at any point when you first got there? Like, do they kind of give you a handbook, or what type of training do you get as a incoming mayor to kind of learn the system?
I didn't get any of that. And that's the ironic part. I have bits and pieces when I ask questions, but it's never a full layout. It's never the full document. It's never the full policy. It's, oh, this is normal practice for us. This is what we do, but it's never black and white. I even asked my predecessor for a opportunity to do a transition period. I had one meeting with him where we talked about his family, what he did as mayor, and we left, because at that point it seemed like he wasn't trying to tell me what to do as mayor, but what he's done and his accomplishments. And that just was not something I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear how I can continue the legacy, not only of his name, but the rest of the city of Stockbridge.
And I don't think people understand, as I said, the interworkings of administration when you are a mayor of a city like Stockbridge in terms of staff. Are you supplied with any type of staff to assist you? And what type of staff would you think that you would need in order to assist you to run a city like Stockbridge?
I would say for me, I would probably need a good solid 3. That's an executive assistant, a PR person who could represent the mayor's office, especially when there's so much going around, that we want to showcase the characteristic of the beauty of Stockbridge. And then third, probably a policy director or a community engagement operator who can help me connect with neighbors and support my initiatives and connect with businesses, because that's important, right? And as the chief spokesperson, the celebratory person of the city, that's my job. And it's hard to do that when I don't have that support, nor do I get to choose that support. For those that don't know, in Stockbridge, we have 2 roles that represent and support the mayor and council's office, and that's the executive assistant to mayor and council and the administrative assistant to mayor and council. Though that individual is appointed by the council, the executive assistant is appointed by the council during the January meeting of every year. But I also want to be clear, I have no vote in the city of Stockbridge. And so the council is basically selecting an executive assistant that has to work with myself and the council, and I don't even get a say in it.
So are there any individuals that are specifically employed with the city that are charged with the responsibility of assisting you as the mayor to do your job? Like, do you have a social media person that the city has provided? Do you have any other type of personnel that you would actually need to go out and help you do your job? Do they provide it?
No.
So how are you able to do your job without the assistance of the city? I mean, did you have to pay out of your pocket to get that type of assistance?
I can be completely honest. I have a team of 5 people that I've built outside in the community that have helped me change the narrative. People are loving the small business spotlights. People are loving seeing their mayor out. People are loving the move with the mayor when we did line dancing on the green, and we did the basketball tournament right there in Mickey D. Cochran. And that was all because of 5 members I brought externally from the city of Stockbridge that
Who's
work for
paying for it?
I'm paying for it out of my company's own dollar, my own dime, and it's actually being paid directly from me. And so that is what we do. I'm literally working with them from my own funds on an external side of the city.
And we'll get into the allegations, but I understand that one of the allegations that they're made against you, the council is making against you, is that you have had individuals who have entered into secured areas of the mayor's office or the office of city council. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how ridiculous that is?
I would say it's absolutely ridiculous because how do you define an unauthorized area? My office is I would say the administrative secured portion of the city. If my team is coming, and I don't bring all of them at one time, and even if I did, my office is in the administrative side. So as long as they're inside and getting access from an authorized individual like myself, or the receptionist of the city calls and says, "Hey, Mayor, you have some people here to meet you," then they go to the back. I do something called Meet the Mayor 1 week out of the month. I have some of those meetings inside of my office. So are you saying at the same time constituents aren't able to come into unauthorized areas to get to my office to meet with me? Those are the questions I was asking as I was reading the letter they gave me, because that was one, absolutely absurd to me, but at the same time, that's the only way to get to my office. There is no public view or no public hallway to get access to the mayor's office.
And are there other members of the council that have had individuals who are not paid by the city or employees by the city who have also been in the restricted, unauthorized area with the city council?
Absolutely, council has access to those areas as well, and do what they see fit.
No, and I'm not talking about just have access. I'm talking about do you know of any council members that have had individuals in the restricted areas?
Absolutely, I see them all the time, and my team will tell you that as well.
Okay. Attorney Griggs, you got anything before we get into the allegations?
Yes, just briefly. I just want to thank the mayor for this opportunity to represent him and work with you, and to make sure that people understand the background of this young man prior to entering office. He is a lifelong member of the NAACP, former state conference president, youth conference president, and a phenomenal student at Clark Atlanta University, and was actually the president of the Clark Atlanta University branch of the NAACP. So comes from a very strong stock. And it's just interesting to see, after doing such a historic election and bringing such vibrant energy to the city of Stockbridge, we would be here. And so it's an honor for me to represent him, because I know him not only as a great politician, but as a man who has come a long way to get to this point. So I'm just honored to be able to represent him and to be able to set the record straight, because it just seemed like when he was being attacked, it wasn't enough people coming to his aid. So I'm honored to be one of those people to come to his aid, and there were so many others through the city of Stockbridge and around the state of Georgia that are doing that right now. So I think we can go into the conversation that everybody wants to have.
All right, can you pull it up?
Yeah.
And what we'll do, Mayor, we'll go because my understanding is that the and you can kind of set the stage as to what happened on that Friday when you got to City Hall, and not anything that took place in the executive session, of course, because that would be private. But what happened when you got there? We can't hear you. Can't hear
Got
you.
it. Thank you. I was notified of the special call meeting, I believe, 3 days before, 2 or 3 days before the special called. Was not aware of the context, of course, but was aware that the meeting was called. Um, while doing that, I went to um, the meeting, did my job as mayor, called it to order, followed the protocol of the agenda, and then asked for the motion to go into executive session, where I was asked to leave out while council discussed the personnel matter. I guess in regard to me, so I stepped out and they talked for about 3.5 hours. They brought me back in, asked me a few questions, came back out, and at that juncture, I received a 21-page letter, which is what we're about to discuss, which are the allegations. And then they came out a few minutes after that, and they gave the resolution that was presented during that council meeting, that special call meeting.
So prior to, and that was on that, what the 20, what date was that?
That was the
That's
17th of
17th,
July.
right? July 17th. So prior to July the 17th, 2025, before you got to City Hall to do your business as mayor, have did any council people or any people that worked at the for City Hall, did they ever make any allegations against you or tell you that, hey, you're being investigated, or people have said certain things? Did that ever happen?
Yeah, the city manager actually came to me and pulled me to the side and said, "Mayor, we had an issue with your P card and wanted to get some information on it." I said, "Okay, who I need to talk to?" He said, "No, don't worry about it. I think the council's about to call for an investigation, but until then, we've suspended your card." And that was on the Thursday before the week of the special call meeting.
Okay. And I just want to, and I know that we're going to get into the card thing, but so they suspended your card prior to the 17th of July. He didn't really go into, the treasurer didn't really go into why they were suspending your card, what allegations they were making. He just said that they were suspending your card. Okay.
Correct.
Now, isn't it true that even once they suspended your card, there was some money or so uh, on the card, but even after when they suspended the card, there was money on there, but after they suspended the card, there was no money.
Correct. I have a document saying that I had about $66 left in my incentive. And let me be clear on this part, Attorney Kenner. What we're investigating is not the general fund of the city of Stockbridge. It is not tax. It is not splash dollars. It is not T splosh. It's not your TAD. It's nothing of the sort that does the day-to-day functions of the city. The budget line we're discussing is the mayor's incentives fund. And as you are aware, and Attorney Griggs is as well, the incentives fund is for the mayor and council. We all have an incentives fund of $5,000 budgeted annually for us to support the things that we're doing in our capacity. Um, that is what we're investigating now. I was not informed of anything outside of the sort, outside of the investigation. I was told on the 60, I'm told right before the meeting that I had $66 left because I was doing the press conference and we were trying to go live. When I received this letter on Friday, the 17th of July, I was told that I was in the negative, which at that point, I'm trying to figure out how because I haven't been able to spend any money. My card was already shut off. And so that raised a question for me as well that I have still yet to get the document that I requested.
Now, the fund that you're talking about, you said it's the incentive fund. Is that correct? Is that what it's
Correct.
called? That all council people or members also have that type of fund. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that's for incentive. And well, let me go back. It's $5,000. Each person has $5,000 top in that fund. Is that right?
Correct.
And can you explain a little bit exactly what that fund is for and how you as a mayor and as well as city council have access to that fund?
Yeah, we all have a P card that is maxed to $5,000. Um, with that card, we basically can use it for our incentives. And so, for example, we have multiple budgets. So let me first clear that off. The incentives budget, however, is what we use to do an incentive at. Let's just say we're doing, just to give an example, I wanted to do a mayor's run club and I get some shirts. I can get that out of my incentives. Let's say that I'm doing an ice cream social. I can go to the food depot and get some ice creams. It's a part of the incentives that I'm doing for my office. And so each of us have that budget line to do what we see fit to support the initiatives and the efforts that we're doing in our official capacity as mayor and council.
Okay. Now, and all councilmen, they have the same right to do the same thing. Is that right?
Correct.
So what happens once you have exhausted the funds or the money in that particular account?
That's a great question. I don't know the policy of what happens once that's exhausted. I would assume that finance would say, hey, you've exhausted your amount, but I don't know the process.
Okay.
I've only been here 6 months.
Okay. And again, no real training. But did you get any training, or was there any type of manual or anything that told you about discretionary funds and what you can pay out of and how it's paid out and things of that nature?
I didn't get any paperwork on it. I was told by procurement that the only thing we cannot do is personal usage, and we cannot get gas for the city vehicles on it.
Did they ever say that if you're doing anything though, as it relates to the city, that you're able to use that particular account for city business?
They said that was fine as long as it was not personal or gas.
Okay. All right. I, Attorney Griggs, can we blow that up a little bit? I don't know if, and we can go to the first allegation, the first, are you able to go up?
Now we can't go any closer.
No, okay,
but
we're not.
it's on the first page.
Can we go up a little bit to the second page?
Yeah, I can go to the second page.
Okay. I just want to get to the part where we're
There you
talking
go.
about the allegations. Can we go to, so this probably is on the third page.
Third page is on the screen.
Yeah, the fourth. Okay, so I think the first allegation, and it's kind of hard for me to see, is that
It's count one, misuse of city funds, the P card.
correct, and particularly what they're saying is, and you may be able to read it better than me because if you can see it, Attorney Griggs, if you can read the first allegation there.
It says count one, misuse of city funds, P card, specification 1.1, unauthorized and improper documented charges, expectation 1.2, improper approval of P card charges, 1.3, misrepresentation of P card administrator, 1.4, continued spending after reimbursement directive, 1.5, unaccounted public funds. It says the city records procurement P card activity that warrants formal review. A summary table of which is here attached as Exhibit A. The purchases and actions that warrant further review include but not are limited to, and then it goes through each individual allegation.
And a lot of these allegations we can collapse into one response, but if you can read the first allegation that it has on there.
Okay, it says at some point during his tenure as mayor, he created a new P card form, authorization form, which only authorizing signature required to be Mayor Williams. The investigation will determine whether or not the creation of such form served as an authorized municipal purpose and complied with the applicable procedures.
So the first thing when I saw this, Mayor, is I honed in on the words he created a new form, basically saying that, and you can explain to the public exactly what they're saying, what the allegation is. You can. So what Attorney Griggs has put up is a form here. It says Mayor Jayden L. Williams P card purchase, and so can you explain to the public exactly what this is?
Yeah, so in the city, this was given to me by my budget manager. At the time, it was the clerk's office. They had these records. They passed it down to me once the council decided to move it to the executive assistant by my request. This was a letter that was given to them by the finance department. When we do any purchase on our P card, we have to fill this out as well as attach the receipt and give it to our finance office. As you can see, this is just an example of one that I wanted to give evidence on from when we went to GMA about 3.5 weeks ago. We have to put the amount, the vendor, so the name of the company that we spent, what department, the code at which to what budget line this would be coming from. We have to put what the event is, and then we have to put the name. This was given to me. As you can see, my name is literally at the top. The last digits at the top, I have no idea what's that for. Is it for my credit card or if it's for the account that they've created for procurement? But there is no other signature on my document. That was what I was received. I've always received official's name, purchased by, which is the same person, and then for my signature at the bottom. I've never received any other form outside of this, nor have I created anything outside of this.
So when they put in there, the allegation is that you created this form. Is that true?
No. So when I received my forms, they actually printed 55 copies of this form and 55 copies of lost receipt forms. And they said, here you go, Mayor, to have for your record.
Okay. Let's go to the other one, Attorney Griggs, and we'll kind of get through this a little quickly as well. All right. So the second one, can you read that one, Attorney Griggs? Because I can't really read it.
Yes, it says on or about February the 5th, 2026, the mayor made a donation to Henry County Schools Foundation for school lunches. The invoice for the donation was handwritten notes stating that there was an additional $398 processing fee, but no corroborating documentation of this surcharge was submitted. To date, no such council authorization for this donation has been located. The investigation will determine whether the purchase served as an additional municipal purpose and complied with the applicable procedures.
Now, I thought this was laughable too, and I'm gonna tell you why. I understand that there was an event where that you got a donation. There's an invoice for about $2,000, and actually someone else donated. Someone else donated 2,000. You can tell the story because you know it better than me.
Yeah, let me jump into this part because this is one of my favorite initiatives that I've done to be in office. My first thing I did in office was to announce that I was canceling student lunch debt, and that was actually during my inaugural ball. In that, I said I will be donating out of the $5,000 that I received from my incentives funds, $2,000 to support the efforts of the school system, and this goes to all of the schools in the Stockbridge cluster. So that's about 11 schools that $4,000 is basically covering. At my ball, I had a company that was a partner and a sponsor say, "Hey, we'll match your deal, your dollar amount." So I have a receipt here that I gave, and we'll proudly show it that I gave $2,200 to the Henry County school system from my incentives funds, with their processing fee, which is 10%. I believe they use Blackboard or something like that. It was a processing fee which took it up to $2,398. Now I think it was a $100 processing fee. I have the other receipt right here where the other company that sponsored matched us with $2,000, and that was the opportunity for me to give the school system and the foundation $4,200 to cancel or to clear off some of lunch debt, because that was not all of the lunch debt that we had in the city.
So this $398 that they're talking about is unaccounted for. Can you tell the public what that was for?
I'm not sure when they say unaccounted for, are they saying they don't have the receipt? Because the receipt was mailed to the city office. That's how I received it.
Yeah, but I'm talking about because they're saying the processing fee, right? We have the receipts, the invoices where they have that, where other folks paid and all that, but they're honing in on the processing fee of $398. And my understanding is that processing fee you have nothing to do with. That's when you pay for it. That was attached as a processing fee.
Yeah, it was what, 190 something in a processing fee, which is 10% of what I was paying. So 10%. So I gave the 2,200. They gave the 198. I can proudly, the city has never asked me for a copy of the processing fee. I gave them the receipt, which is the invoice that I just held up on the screen as well. If they wanted a copy of that processing fee, all they had to do was ask me. I would have gladly called the foundation and asked for a copy of their contribution policy when it comes to that servicing fee.
All right, let's go to the other one, Mayor.
All right, it says on or about February the 26th, 2026, the mayor made a charge to JNN Athens in Athens, Georgia. On the lost receipt form submitted by the mayor, he indicated this charge was for parking. While in Athens at the newly elected officials training hosted by GMA for February 25th to the 27th, 2026, a search of JNN Athens returns shows Jim and Nick's Barbecue in Athens, Georgia. The investigation will determine whether the purchase served an authorized municipal purpose and complied with all applicable rules.
Now
Yeah.
this is funny to me too. I'll let you take over that, but $30. So they're talking about $30.47, and they said that they did a search and found that it was Jim and Nick's. First of all, why were you even there in Athens, and what was that $30 for?
So I was in Athens for newly elected training along with our new councilman for District 2. The last night of GMA, they did not provide dinner, although the other, I think 2 or 3 nights we were there, they did provide dinner. And so they did let us know dinner was on our own. I paid for my dinner myself. As you all know, Athens is a college city. So most of the areas you have to pay for parking. And in the other parts, it's kind of free. I was in the area trying to get dinner to where they was actually having some type of college event. So I had to park in the deck area that charged $30.47 after I left. Unfortunately, I did give them a no receipt form because as I cleaned out the city vehicle on the way back to the city, I threw away the small square card that had the receipt, and I take full accountability for it, which is why I submitted the lost receipt affidavit and let them know what it was for.
So when you say you submit a lost receipt affidavit, can you explain what that means? Because I think what you do, you go in and you see the charges, or kind of explain how you get to the affidavit.
So when you go into our system and you don't have the receipt to submit, you have to submit a lost receipt form just stating what exactly did you buy, where did you buy it. The same policy as the procurement, but instead of attaching the receipt, you would just let them know, break down everything that you bought with it.
Okay. So, but even if you're there on city business, right? You're not there for personal.
Correct. I was there for GMA. GMA is required newly elected because by law we have to go to trainings and have a certain credit hours to be
So,
qualified.
so even if you purchase something to eat, what would that come out of, and would that be authorized?
It all would have came out of my incentives. Even if I did get something to eat, typically it comes out of my incentives. Attorney Kenner, you and I talked to the treasurer, and he said, "Hey, you could have also taken this out of hospitality." And I know we'll talk about that the further we get into these allegations.
Okay. All right. What's the next one?
The
Attorney
next
Griggs?
one, and if we could take the comments down off the screen.
Okay. Do what now?
Okay, the next one is on or about March the
It's hard to
8th.
hear you. It's hard to hear you, brother.
Okay, I was trying to make the echo go away. But it says on or about March the 8th, the mayor made a charge of Quality Inns and Suites in Montgomery, Alabama, stating the charge was related to Selma, Alabama Selma, Alabama event with the youth council, meaning, I can't see that other portion, the Stockbridge Youth Council, and the mayor submitted a receipt for such.
And then there's a next. Go to the next page
Okay.
at the top. The investigation.
Investigation will determine whether the purchase served an authorized municipal purpose and complied with applicable procedures. The amount was $176.29.
Now again, this is ridiculous to me too. When I first read this allegation, because essentially what they're trying to say that you were in Alabama and you purported to be in Alabama for some type of city initiative, but you really weren't there, right? Can you explain to the public what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's basically what they were trying to say, that I was not present and I did not stay in the hotel. Even youth council members will tell you I got there late in a storm at that, driving from Georgia to Alabama to get to the Selma event with our scholars. They actually left 2 or 3 days before I left, but I could not leave because I had to handle some city business and some meetings with constituents. But I made it right on the day of, which was March 8th. And if anybody has been to Selma for the Edmund Pettus March, you understand the significance and why it was so important for me to join the Youth Council, especially as being a former youth mayor for the Stockbridge Youth Council, how important it was for me to get my young people out there. And so the picture that's on the screen, you will actually see myself, the youth council members, and some of the leadership, because we went with the A.D. King Foundation. And one of the gentlemen in there is one of the former kings from a foreign country right here in the world. And so they joined us for a photo op. And that's kind of how this happened. The 176.29 for a one night stay in a packed hotel that was sold out is what I spent to stay there. And it could have came out of my travel and education budget, because I was going on behalf of the city along with our youth council.
So it could have come out of travel, but what did it actually come out of? What budget?
My incentives.
Now, did anybody sit you down, like the treasurer, or anyone, and say, okay, Mayor Williams, when you do something for the community, like such as this, it comes out of this budget, but if you're going and you having to eat or something like that while you're on city business, it comes out of this budget. Did anyone ever sit you down to tell you which budgets you need to pull the funds out of
No,
for reimbursement?
no,
So you just pulled it out of the only budget that you knew of?
correct.
Is that- okay. All right, what's the next one?
All right, the next one is on or about March the 11th, the mayor made a charge at Clark Atlanta University bookstore. The receipt provided shows a purchase of a diploma frame and diploma cover. The P card purchased from the mayor, created and submitted for the purchase, states that the charge was for office furniture. The mayor is listed as the sole authorizer of this purchase. The investigation will determine whether or not this purpose served an authorized municipal purpose and complied with applicable procedures. The amount was $142.04.
All right, now
1 cent, I'm sorry.
Now, I wanted to kind of talk about this real briefly too, Mayor. Office furnishing, and you designated this expense for office furnishing. What was your understanding of whether you were able to get certain things for your office?
Yeah, so from my understanding, I literally decorated and redid the entire office with my own financial money. I didn't ask the city to pay for new seats, pillows, a rug, pictures on the walls, frames for those pictures, anything. So most of that came from my own money, but I did do one purchase on behalf of what I call office furnishing. As a proud graduate of my institution, I went back and got a frame for my office. It's still in my office to this day, sitting right inside of in the door. So as soon as you walk inside of my office, the first thing you see is a Clark Atlanta degree holder, where it's not my real degree. It's actually a copy of my degree, but that's one that I've designated for my office. And should the city be like, hey, we want it for our records to keep your legacy, they can keep it because I bought it on behalf of the city. It's decoration for the city, and it can go into the records for the city.
And when you submitted this, the receipt for that, did the treasurer or anyone in procurement or anyone say anything to you about you weren't supposed to do, pay for this particular item out of your budget?
I have never been asked of anything, any questions about a transaction, any questions about a purchase from any member of the City of Stockbridge Treasury Department, Finance Department.
Well, and I want to also, talk about what other members have paid for that they designated as furniture. Some televisions. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, I have some staff members that have bought multiple televisions for offices that have never had televisions, to include the mayor's office. I never had a TV in my office, but when I saw they were buying new chairs and pillows and TVs for themselves, I said, hey, let me have one as well. And next thing you know, I believe at the end of that week, I had a brand new TV in my office. And that did not come from my incentives fund or any of my funds. That came from the city.
And who was the person that purchased the televisions for other people or for themselves or so?
From my understanding, that's the city manager.
The city manager? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Um, let's talk about, because we don't have a lot of time to go through everything, but I know that there's one thing about um, a situation at the bowling alley. You went there with some kids on behalf of the city, and they, again, these allegations you saw for the first time on Friday. I believe that was the 17th. Is that right? They never told you about these allegations prior to July the 17th.
I have never received an issue about any of my finances until I got this letter.
Okay, so all the allegations that they're making in February and March and April and all this, you never knew anything about these until they presented you with this letter on the 17th. Is that right?
Correct. And I would say, let me correct what you said, Attorney Kennedy. It was not. I did not go to a bowling alley with kids. I went to a bowling alley for a corporation and a nonprofit that supports kids and efforts in the community. I missed the opportunity to donate to become a sponsor, as we do all the time in the city. An elected official can become a sponsor of an event. So I attended. Attended the event, and I spent $23.75 on a two platters. So it was a platter of pizza and wings that I put for both sections for the students and the families that were there, as a donation and my contribution as the mayor of the city.
And so my understanding from this letter, um, the council is saying that they looked in on, I guess, on the website or something. And they saw the bowling was $39 or so per person, but you submitted a receipt for what is that? How much is that, Attorney Griggs? I can't.
2375.
Yeah,
For
2375.
$23.75, and they questioned that.
Correct. But if you check the document that's in front of everybody at this point, it says bowling session donations to kids. It does not specify that I bowled myself. I'm not a bowler. I'm a skater. I'm from Atlanta. So I don't bowl, but I did not bowl. I literally just did that donation for the students.
Okay. All right. All right.
There's a couple others I want to go to before
Go
we
ahead.
skip over this. April the 29th is two different purchases. One was April the 29th made a charge at Popeyes. A transaction reads a ATL Popeyes atrium located in Hartsfield Jackson International Airport. That was $18.53. And then later on that day, you did a Uber Eats at Stoner's Pizza in Savannah, Georgia. The charges include one small build-your-own pizza and 3 chocolate chip cookies, and delivery records show delivery was completed to Savannah. Could you kind of talk to us about that? That one came up to $38.79.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was actually going out of town for the Mayor's Alliance L'Chaim event, which celebrates Jewish cultures in our community. And our Jewish culture is not big in the city of Stockbridge, but it is also something as mayor that I wanted to make sure I was present for so I can get more information on it in general. So the Popeyes event was, hey, I was hungry, y'all. I was trying to get to Savannah at the last minute. Did not have the city pay for my hotel. That was paid for. Did not have the city pay for my flight. I paid for it myself. Um,
Which,
but
which, 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 not to cut you off, the city would have been obligated to pay for your flight, right?
correct, correct.
But you paid for
So
it yourself?
my travel and lodging was not paid for by the city. It was these two transactions, which was the pizza, which was that night. I got there late. My flight was delayed. I was hungry. I'm a human, y'all. The mayor was hungry. So I did do that Uber Eats order. I didn't want to travel. I did not have a car. I literally was just out there. So I did do that Uber Eats order, and then the meal at the hotel at the airport as I waited on my delayed flight.
But you're still working for the city and you're doing this all for the city.
Correct.
Now, did the treasurer indicate whether this could have gone into a particular budget or come out of a certain budget?
Nope. I have, again, Attorney Kennedy, I've never been asked about any of these transactions from the finance department.
Okay. Let's go to some other ones I want to go to the one about the P card, or not the fuel card, but the damage to the vehicle that they have made an allegation about.
Okay, let me see if I can find that one.
It's down.
And
That's
this is
going
the
to
funny
be,
part. This is the funny part.
so which count is that?
That is
Yeah,
three. Count
Yeah, go
three.
ahead. Let's count
count three. You're there.
almost.
All right, let's count two. Well, city vehicle. Let's go to. I think I saw where it says city vehicle.
Okay, I'll go back to that one. Yeah, here we go. It's count three. Misuse of city property, city vehicles. It says retention of city vehicle without following procedure. Damage to city vehicle, unauthorized operation by non-city employees or non-employees, retention of keys after return, and the use of city vehicles for non-city purposes. It says on January the 5th, 2026 through July the 16th of 2026, a city-owned vehicle has been checked out in the mayor's name for approximately 183 days. The vehicle assignment log shows multiple entries of extended vehicle use without uh, coinciding city business.
Now again, this is January the 5th. You just got in office, right?
Yeah, and let me say, I have the best part of my job is being able to represent Stockbridge and put Stockbridge in places that we probably would not be in if I was not asked to go to rooms or be put in stations where I can represent the best city in Georgia. That's my personal perspective, whether I'm in this situation or not. Stockbridge is still the best city. But I had these keys, and let me be clear. I had an agreement with the executive assistant to mayor and council. She's the holder and the keeper of the keys of all the city vehicles. I said, hey, is it cool if I just keep the key in my office since I'll be using it while I do city business? She said, I don't mind. So I did have the vehicle's keys for 183 days, but that vehicle stayed at City Hall. Even if I got home or back to the city of Stockbridge, if an event ended at midnight, the keys were at City Hall. They stayed in my office, and it's a specific drawer in my office that all of my city property stays in, especially if it's not something I can take home. So that key stayed there for 183 days unless our executive assistant asked for it to be cleaned or it need to get oil change. If someone needs to rent it out themselves, if I wasn't using it, that was the time I would give it back and they would sign it as well. That was the purpose of it. I literally used it for city business.
Let me ask you this, because this is the confusing part for me. Because when it says the key was checked out for 183 days, well, if you on January the 5th, if you checked out the key, that means that you also checked out the city car, right?
Correct.
All right, and so then once you check out the city car, let's say on January the 5th, you checked out the city car, and then you had to do some city business, wherever you had to go within the city. So then you will, at some point, you would bring the car back, right? And then park it at the city. Is that right?
Correct.
And then you would get in your car and you will go home or go on about your business. But the car stayed at City Hall, right?
Absolutely.
And then you will put the key inside of your drawer, inside of your office that at least one or two people knew that was inside of your office. Right?
Correct.
And they had access to it. So when
Yeah.
they're talking about 183 days, it's not like you had the key for 183 days, refused to give the key back, nobody had access to the vehicle. All they had to, and they knew that you had the key, that it was in your office, and all they had to do was go in there and get it. Right?
Well, no.
Explain that to me.
People could not go inside of my office and get anything.
Okay.
They had to ask me for it, and I would go get it for them.
Okay. Did anybody ask you, hey, Mayor, we need to get the key to that particular car?
I think maybe once or twice the executive assistant asked because someone wanted to use it, and I gave it back, and she gave it right back to me.
So this is not a situation where you had the vehicle itself for 183 days.
Correct.
All right.
And let me just follow up on that same question. So at all times, the vehicle was still at the city.
Yes, when I was not using it, it was at the city.
Okay.
So, but they made this an allegation. January the 5th. When did you get inaugurated? When did you become mayor?
I got sworn in January. I got sworn in January 2nd. My first day officially on that Monday was January 5th, and I did check it out, and I actually drove it to the former councilman's funeral up the street from City Hall.
And did anybody ever tell you, okay, you have to, give the key back to the person who you check it out to, and you can't keep it in your office? Did anybody ever tell you that?
No.
All right.
I actually didn't even get the vehicle usage policy until about 3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, if that.
And what is the vehicle users policy?
And let me also say the city also has an extra set of all city vehicles. So they have keys as well as the one that I have. So it would have never been a part where I'm holding the key or I'm withholding it from the city. The city also has an additional pair of keys that they can get the car at any time.
Okay. And speaking of vehicles, one of the allegations is that you damaged a vehicle and then you turned in the vehicle, got another vehicle, but kept the key to the first vehicle that you damaged.
Yeah, when
That's
I
an allegation too, right?
when I
So
read that, I was hot because I don't understand how I can check out another key and not give the key back. Number one, and I was aware that there was damage to one of the new city vehicles that I had checked out first, and two other city employees checked out directly after me. I believe the same day, or maybe in the span of 2 or 3 days. When I got the notification from the city manager, he asked me if I can fill out a affidavit just saying, hey, this is what happened. When I got the vehicle, this is how long I've had it. I proudly submitted that to HR, did not hear anything else about it. Now it's coming back into the forefront in this letter that I damaged the vehicle when they knew, and they also had two other members of staff send a formal notice saying, hey, this is what happened when we was in the vehicle. We don't know of any damage.
so they had access. Other folks had access to to the vehicle that was damaged.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now we're running out a little bit of time, so I want because I know there may be some comments, but I want to talk about one of the things with the fuel card. All right, Attorney Griggs, you want to talk about that with the mayor?
Yeah, I want to ask about the fuel card. There's an allegation. I think I'm gonna try to go back to it with misuse of public funds about the fuel card.
Yeah,
Basically, the
count two.
allegation is you made several fuel purchases within the same day for different cars. Could you please explain what happened? I think it's count two, misuse of city funds fuel card. It basically says our city records indicate multiple purchases of fuel with the mayor's city issue fuel card with multiple transactions on the same day in different locations, indicating the mayor purchased fuel for multiple vehicles.
I really have no idea how to explain that. They didn't put a date on here. They didn't put the times, the locations, anything. What I will say is, it's we don't have fuel cards. The only card we have in the city are P cards. The fuel cards that we have within the city are inside of the vehicle, so each vehicle has its own fuel card. How we get gas with that card is that we have a select pin that we use um, to basically obtain the gas. From my understanding, it has always been normal practice for the city, per the finance member that had me put in my code, that is normal practice for that your birthday, your first four letters of your birthday is your fuel pin. That is what I've been using and that's what I followed. So I'm not sure of what they're referring to when they say same day, different locations, different vehicles. But I've literally only had one card, and that's my P card, and I've used my PIN that I was given from the city to get fuel for the city vehicles.
So let me make sure, as a layperson, I understand this. So my understanding is that there's a card that each person can check out. You have a card that you can check out. Inside your card is some type of card, correct?
Yeah,
So when you get ready to get gas, then you take that card or the pin and you use your birthday number, your four digits of your birthday, right? And you put that in. So each person, and you understand that now how did you know to use the birthday? And does other folks use their birthday as well? And if you wanted to use somebody else's birthday and put, use that card and you put somebody else's birthday in there, could you do that?
at this point, if I knew anybody's birthday, I could easily use it to get fuel in the vehicle. What I was told when I went, I think that was maybe day 3 or day 4 for me to getting gas in the city vehicle, is that, hey, the normal practice for the city is that you put in your birthday. And so when they gave me my code, it was literally my birthday, and that's what I've been using since I got it the first week I've been in office.
So if somebody knew your birthday, do you think that they could just use a card and then put your birthday in, and but it doesn't go to to your car that you're driving. But if they want to use their car, they just use their card and then put your birthday in.
That is what they gave me. The normal practice is my birthday, and that's all they have to put in. So you don't have to put anything else outside of that to use the gas card.
Okay, all right. Are there any other counts, Attorney Griggs, that kind of stand out that you wanted to go over before we kind of turn it over to the public for
No,
questions?
no other counts. I think the counts kind of speak for themselves in the what's the best professional way to put this? Lunacy of these allegations, and they can all be proven and disproven by the receipts that have been given by the mayor. I think one of the biggest issues that we have with all of this is the public release of this information without fact checking any of it. And that leads me to one of the biggest questions that I have, and it came up after the hearing that we had, which was the public dissemination of clearly salacious and erroneous information regarding the mayor, that we're going to respond with this simple response. You can't respond to an allegation that is ridiculous without having information about the ridiculousness of the allegation. I don't even want the mayor to address something that, one, is clearly erroneous, and two, we don't have any factual information to back it up. So I would just say that there are probably people on this Zoom call that want to hear information with regard to the latest allegation, but as you can see from these allegations, they don't give a date, they don't give a time, they don't give a location of where he's supposed to have bought all of this gas in the same day with different cars, with no proof of it. So we're not going to get into any salacious information without proof, but he vehemently denies those allegations.
And one of the things that I will say is that I represented the mayor from the inception, and when we filed our declaratory judgment complaint as well as an interlocutory injunction for injunctive relief, we were, and I'm going to say this, I'll just be candid, we were threatened that if the mayor goes to or has a hearing that he is definitely entitled to, and a hearing that will reinstate him to his administrative duties, because it has been our position, and it's still our position, that what the council did was beyond the scope of their authority and their powers. They violated the charter. They know they violated the charter. The council has done everything to try to prevent the mayor from having his day in court, even to the point that they would threaten that if he were to have his hearing and go for it, that they would release the allegations of sexual conduct and these salacious type of allegations with no proof. And I will also say that many of these allegations, or all of these allegations that are contained in this statement here, that we have not gotten any proof from. We have not seen any documentation. We have not seen anything. So we basically shooting in the dark. But what we know is that if there were proof, then they would have produced it. Now, what they want to do is they want to have an investigation, which the charter calls for, and they have the duty to do that, which is the council. They have the duty to have an investigation. But they don't have the right to circumvent the charter, exclude him from his administration, functionally remove him from office, even though the city attorney and councilmen and women are saying, oh, we have not removed him from office. Well, if he can't do anything to further his administration, and he can only come around to public meetings or events, then you have essentially removed him from office without following the right protocol pursuant to the charter. So no, we're not going to be intimidated. We're not going to say, oh, well, if you threaten us or you threaten to release this type of information, we're scared now. We're not going to go to court. No, we're going back to court. We're going to have our day in court. All of this will come out. As a matter of fact, we will be subpoenaing people to come and testify. And so the mayor will have his day in court, and we believe that he will be vindicated and will be put back in office.
Yeah.
So with that said, we can open up the floor. So, Mayor, did you have anything you want to say, add to that?
Yeah, before I answered any questions, I just wanted to say, serving the city of Stockbridge is probably one of the greatest accomplishments I could have ever gotten, especially being a senior at Clark Atlanta and assuming this role from going from classroom to the city hall. I would say to any resident, it has been my honor to serve, and I plan to continue to serve, and that's why I'm willing to fight for what I believe in. Um, Even in the courtroom, and just like I was telling Attorney Kenner and Attorney Griggs, while I was sitting in that courtroom, I could have been thinking about ways we could fight this case, but all I could think about was the 14-year-old little boy and the 13-year-old girl that one got killed and one was wounded and went to the hospital due to gun violence. And instead of addressing that and the city trying to put out some information to digress that situation and make sure everything was okay, they're focused on attacking the mayor. And so I just want to say I'm all in for the city of Stockbridge, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. They can throw any allegation they want at me. I can assure you, if I got to go back and march like Martin, Rosa, and everybody else and sit down and get in the way, it's no intentions of me going anywhere. And I'm going to continue to represent the city of Stockbridge.
Well, the issue is, and I think everyone knows it, is that from the inception, it has been the sole duty of certain council people to try to get you out. As a matter of fact, we have evidence where one of the council members said that we're going to get that little boy out of here. He's not going to be here long. So from the inception, it was their duty to try to get you removed and get you out, and they want you to be a one term. But you've been in office for about 7 months or so, and they started these allegations. They've dated them all the way back to January the 5th, 2 days after you started office, and they're just now giving you these allegations now because they, according to them, you have done so much wrongdoing. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But so, Attorney Griggs, you want to?
I'll just say this. The mayor was elected by the people of Stockbridge. He should serve the people of Stockbridge. They should be focused on the business of Stockbridge and not on innuendo, gossip, and rumor. And I would just say to all of the media that have been taking calls from anonymous sources, ask those sources to go on the record. If you're not willing to go on the record, then that tells you what veracity the source has. And I would also warn any of these sources that the full power of the legal resources are behind the mayor. So I would be very careful on making salacious allegations that are completely false. And so what I would ask the people of Stockbridge to do is to go to the next city council meeting and have a conversation with your elected officials about fiscal responsibility and to have a full forensic audit of the city. Because if they're sending letters out to investigate this information without proof, maybe they should have investigations of the budget and the budget shortfalls in the city of Stockbridge. That might be more fruitful. And I would just simply reiterate that we are a nation of laws. And if there truly is something there, there's law enforcement to investigate anything. We are very open and transparent. It's interesting that certain allegations were made, but yet nobody contacted the district attorney's office, the GBI, the FBI, or anybody else. But they just went to the meeting and put a press statement out. That's not how this country works.
Well, that was the point. I mean, the point was to embarrass. The point was to put out information first, and then we'll deal with it later. But then they come back and say, well, we want to remind the public that these are just allegations, but you're putting out the information. You're trying to taint his reputation and cause damage and harm to his reputation. The last thing I want to say is that there is supposed to be an investigation, which is pursuant to the charter. We welcome that. But what we want to make sure is that this is a true, open, and honest and unbiased investigation. There is an investigator who is being hired by the city to do the investigation, and I'm just hoping and just asking this investigator to be fair. Although he's being paid by the city, although I believe he understands the dynamics of this case, I think he understands what the intentions and the goals of the council, which is to try to, remove the mayor. I'm asking him to do his job and make sure that he's fair and honest with his assessment and his investigation. All right.
Absolutely. So we would open it up. I know there are some media entities that are on the call. There are also citizens. So we would open it up to respectful questions at this time. Just put your question in the chat and we will try to get to your question. And currently, right now, in the chat, people are talking about going to the July 28th or the August 10th council meeting. So yes, we would strongly urge you to go and elevate your voice in public comment. But if there are any questions for the mayor, we would open the floor now.
And while you're looking at that, Attorney Griggs, I will say that there are 5 council people, I guess, on the council, right? One of which indicated at the end of the hearing this past Friday that she did not vote to remove the mayor. Now that is significant to me because I understand that she voted, in her mind, she voted for an investigation, but she indicated on Friday, and she has made it very clear that she did not vote for removal. My question is, what did you think you were voting for? Because clearly this suspension was effectively a removal. And we welcome that Congresswoman to contact us or speak on behalf of the mayor and talk about exactly what she thought the process was going to be. And we asked her to denounce what her fellow council people have done, which is going outside of the charter. They went beyond their skis and basically removed them. So we're asking that council person to come forward in her support.
Okay, we do have a few questions.
I have to say it's a few. I'm going to do a flash round. Has the city or anyone represented them filed anything regarding the sexual assault allegation? It is merely an allegation. And let me be clear, it was something that was dropped after the hearing. And so it's not even in the letter that was presented to us in the beginning. And so we have no idea, and I don't want to make any assumptions or any statement about something that we have no idea about, and it's merely an allegation.
Correct.
Here's another one.
Someone asked, what can we do to support the mayor? Well, let me say this, and I'm going to be open and I'm going to be candid. Waging any type of defense for someone such as Mayor Williams, who's in the capacity that he's in, is very, very expensive. And we have to utilize investigators, we have to utilize lawyers, we have to utilize experts, things of that nature. And so, I understand that someone may be starting a defense fund. I have not been contacted personally, but if there's someone out there who can organize that, we definitely will welcome that. You can reach out to myself or Attorney Griggs. But this is an expensive proposition. I mean, we're going up against Goliath, and the city has all the resources at their disposal, and they know it. And it is their goal to try to beat the mayor down financially and also embarrass him. And so we're asking for the support of the people and of the public to help him with his defense. And so if there's anyone who wants to start that or has the means or so, we're not coming here and we say, hey, we're begging like a lot of folks do. We're saying that this is a expensive proposition, and if you really support this young man and his administration, then we ask that you help out in terms of his defense fund.
Okay, we have another question. How can we ensure the private investigator would do his job fairly? It is our hope that he would do his job fairly, but we will make sure that we have all of our resources prepared to fight against any allegations he may make. So we're prepared. So I do appreciate that question. There's another question here that says, would you as his attorney hire another investigator to investigate and prevent bias and fairness? That is our hope. But we are staying with an open mind, and hopefully this investigator will do his due diligence and talk to all of the witnesses and come to a resolution that we know is fair, that will follow the facts and evidence. So thank you for that question.
And let me say this to that question, Attorney Griggs. We cannot, as attorneys for the mayor, designate the independent investigator. We wish we could. We wish we could. We wish that we could meet with the council and say, hey, both parties agree on this particular investigator because we believe this person will be fair and honest. So
Let me.
somebody want to say something?
No, go ahead. Finish what you're saying, Attorney.
So part of the charter, it gives the council the right to open up an investigation, and they're the ones who hire that investigator to investigate. I'm just very, I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and I've, in criminal defense, things of that nature, and I kind of know that, I'm a little, I don't know, I feel some kind of way about it. I'm just hoping that Mr. Hyde does the right thing, and he doesn't come in with just a slant, in favor of the city. But I think the public can go to the council meetings and they can make sure that this is a fair investigation.
Yeah, and I also want to be mindful of everyone's time because I appreciate you all jumping on at the last minute to hear my side, but also hear from my attorney's perspective in a legal matter. To answer your question, Mayor Boyton, no, I've actually had I set a meeting with all of the council members. Some of them refused, and a few of them did attend, and we had some conversations on what we can do in the city, and what I think would be best and how I can support them in their capacity. Somebody asked me if I will now request a forensic audit to you. I can tell you I have been requesting it internally for the longest. I believe in doing battles internal before making them external because it's most important that we realize as mayor, I don't have a vote. I'm just the presiding officer unless it's a tie. So in order for me to get that forensic audit, I really need you to email all the council members and say, hey, as a citizen of the city, we want a forensic audit on our finances. I do feel like this is political, Timothy Jefferson. I think it's something way bigger than what they're trying to say. But as I stated earlier, I'm willing to fight 10 toes down behind the city of Stockbridge. Somebody asked me my previous experience in work. I will say this and be very upfront. I own my own consulting business where those 5 members that I told you earlier on my team, I pay them out of pocket through my consulting. Outside of that, I've worked for the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus as an intern lead. I've worked with state representatives, minority leaders. I've worked on countless political campaigns. I have a 13-1 campaign streak with 13 wins and 1 loss. And so I've been in the community serving, and the work experience behind me is just something that I've started. So I'm willing and eager to serve. And I thank you all for your time, your questions, your concerns, your prayers, most importantly. And just know the fight is not over. I look forward to seeing you all on the 28th at 6 o'clock and the 10th of August at 6 o'clock as we ask the same questions to the council because that's what we're here to do.
So let's take what we got. What time we want to wrap this up? It's 5:18 now, so y'all want to take about 5 more questions and out?
We can take 5 more questions and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
So let me see here. Here we go.
I see somebody said, why don't you sit down with the investors, with these attorneys? We've already set that appointment, ma'am. So thank you so much for your comment. We'll be meeting with them soon. I don't see any other questions.
It says, what do you think the key drivers of the board's behavior?
I have no clue. I think
I answered that way.
Yeah.
It's politically motivated. You could see it. Let's see. Here's one.
But I also want to make clear too, while I have people here, we're talking about an investigation and y'all want me to sit down and I plan, and my attorneys can tell you as well, we plan to follow the investigation's rules, policies, procedures, as long as they're fair, 1000% and completely full support of it. If the council decides to do it, and I'm obligated to follow by the city's charter, and I plan to do that. But let me also make you all aware that it's my understanding that we're paying this investigator $200,000 to work for 30 days.
Wow.
And so if we want to talk about financial responsibility and we want to talk about where's the money, we should be asking the question on how much is the city paying this private investigator to discuss the money for a mayor of an intensive budget that can only be maxed at $5,000.
Wow. And someone just asked to piggyback who's paying for the mayor's legal representation, and the mayor. I mean, he's having to come out of his own pocket to try to wage a defense against a machine that's paying an investigator $200,000. So my whole thing is, if you're getting paid $200,000, that's a lot of money. Uh,
For 30 days. Let's
for
be specific.
for 30 days. You know, and for a $5,000 budget. So when you put everything together, they're waging this war against you to try to get you ousted for $5,000, and they still haven't really said how they're making these allegations. They're still doing the investigation. So they're saying we have to investigate if there's some wrongdoing, but paying someone $200,000 to do that, instead of coming to the table and saying, "Hey, we understand that there may have been a lack of training. We understand that there may have been some mistakes or a misunderstanding. Let's correct these things and let's move forward." But yet you're going to pay $200,000 to an investigator, and you're having to try to come up with the money to pay for your own investigator and your own attorneys and every other type of experts that we need.
The question from Maria Boynton: how is this affecting your family?
Yeah, it's absolutely affecting my family, because this is not. I am one of the first on both sides of my family to be in the political sphere in the public world, and so just to see our business out in public anyway is everybody's like, who we need to fight. And if that's in the courtroom, if it's in the streets, let me tell you, my family. I'm the only politician, y'all. Everybody else get down in the streets. I have to hold them back and let them know. So as long as I keep a smile on my face and let them know I'm okay. And then we see the support that you all give us on social media, the prayers, the we're sticking with you and the support. We appreciate that because that helps us along the way, and it also gives us that extra push to fight. My family's with me 1,000%, and so they're my backbone. So they're keeping me alive and standing so that I can continue to represent all of us.
And one of the things I want to say, and I think I can say this, Mary, you and I had this conversation. I said, 22 years old. I remember when I was 22 years old, what I was doing. I certainly wasn't thinking about running the city. And I asked you point blank. I said, Mayor, would you do it again? You remember what you said to me?
Yeah,
initially when you
I
first
was.
got.
The first thing I said was absolutely not. If this is what I have to go through as a young person, wanting to get into politics and just wanting to serve. But I will say this: I'm continuing this fight because I'm realizing I'm fighting for every young person in every generation after me. I'm fighting for the next young mayor. I want somebody to beat my record of 22. I'm fighting for the next young congressperson, the next city council person that might potentially have to go through the same exact thing I'm going for right now. So this fight, I think now at this point, is way bigger than me. It's about all of us building a bridge and building that opportunity. And if I got to be on the forefront to show that they can do it, I'm willing to do it.
Last question, Mr. Mayor. I think it would be great to finish on this particular question. How do you plan to educate the youth about what's happening in the city and city government without creating more division?
Well, you have to show them the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's how government works. You can't show them one part and not show them the other, because then we'll be in predicaments like I'm in now, where we're having to fight just because they decided to revoke my privileges. You have to first also engage civic engagement. So this goes back home. Back in the day, my great grandparents used to teach. My great grandparents taught all of their 9 children the importance of civic engagement and getting to vote. And some of them didn't even have the right to vote at some point. But I will say this: it's our job to teach them now, the next generation, and it starts at home. And so if we start to teach them early and start to teach them now, we'll be able to engage them better and push them for a brighter future before they even do it.
All right. Well, it's 5:24. I can have this conversation all day, but I know that the mayor has to go. The mayor has another obligation to be to. Mayor, we want to thank you for having full transparency. We do know that you have the support behind you. You definitely have the support of your attorneys, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that justice is meted out fairly. And so, with that said, Mr. Attorney Griggs, do you want to close us out?
Yes, we just thank the hundreds of people that were on this Zoom call live stream. We want you to continue to support the mayor. This is going to be a hard-fought battle, but I think that he's going to be successful because, one, we've already shown you what the facts are, and we'll continue to show you the facts. But we've also reiterated what the law actually is with regard to what City Council is doing. We believe it's unlawful. We believe we'll be successful in court. So you guys can support the mayor at the next City Council meeting by calling for a forensic audit of the city. If we want to get to the bottom of what's happening in the city, it starts with the city, and it predated the mayor. So let's get real about forensics and what financial issues that the city of Stockbridge has had, and let's let the mayor get back to the business of governing for the people. I appreciate all of you for taking time on your Sunday. We will continue this fight both in the courtroom but also in the court of public opinion. I appreciate all of you. Have a great evening.
Let me say one last thing. So again, I'm going back to the defense fund. So as a matter of fact, I just got a text from someone that wanted to start it. So we will be giving out information soon about how you can donate to the legal defense fund, and we hope that you will, even if it's $1, if it's or $5 or 10 cents, everything helps. So we would ask that you definitely help with this mission to help secure victory for the mayor.
And get there early if you plan to speak at the council meetings. You have to have your paper in before 6 o'clock.
Thank you, everybody. See you at the council meeting.
Good night.
Good night.